الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد وهو على كل شيء قدير استووا يرحمني ويرحمكم الله اعتدلوا لا تختلفوا فتختلف قلوبكم الله أكبر الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. الحمد لله الذي خلق السماوات والأرض وجعل الظلمات والنور ثم الذين كفروا بربهم يعدلون هو الذي خلقكم من طين ثم قضى أجلا وأجل مسمى عنده ثم أنتم تمترون وهو الله في السماوات والأرض وهو الله في السماوات وفي الأرض يعلم سركم وجهركم ويعلم ما تكسبون الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين وله ما سكن في الليل والنهار وهو السميع العليم. قل أغير الله أتخذ وليا فاطر السماوات والأرض وهو يطعم ولا يطعم. قل إني أمرت أن وهو يطعم ولا يطعم. قل إني أمرت أن أكون أول من أسلم ولا تكونن من المشركين. قل إني أخاف إن عصيت ربي عذاب يوم عظيم. من يصرف عنه يومئذ فقد رحمه وذلك الفوز المبين. وإن يمسسك الله بضر فلا كاشف له إلا هو وإن يمسسك بخير فهو على كل شيء قدير. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. أستغفر الله. أستغفر الله. أستغفر الله. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. اللهم أنت السلام ومنك السلام تباركت يا ذا الجلال والإكرام. اللهم أعني على ذكرك وشكرك وحسن عبادتك. لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له. لا إله إلا الله وحده 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 يحيي ويميت على اللهم لا مانع
Dear brothers and sisters, inshallah, after the sunnah, we will start the program. We are greatly honored to have Sheikh Mukhtar with us. Inshallah, we can benefit from his speech, inshallah ta'ala. So after the sunnah, inshallah, we can gather and inshallah benefit from the speech. Jazakallahu khair.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers. All the brothers on my left side, can I request you to move to the right side of the hall so the sisters can inshallah come in? All the sisters that are on the second floor, if you want, you can join us on the first floor here in the main masalla. We have a partition here inshallah for you, and we will start shortly.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. كيف أمسيتم؟ أمسينا وأمسى الملك لله والحمد لله، لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، له الملك وله الحمد وهو على كل شيء قدير. رب أسألك خير ما في هذه الليلة وخير ما بعدها. رب أعوذ بك من شر ما في هذه الليلة ومن شر ما بعدها. رب أعوذ بك من الكسل وسوء الكبر. رب أعوذ بك من عذاب في النار ومن عذاب في القبر. بسم الله الذي لا إله سواه، والحمد لله حمدا أبدا سرمدا، حمدا يليق بجماله وجلاله، حمدا يليق بكماله في جماله وجلاله، حمدا يليق بعظيم وجزيل وكريم عطائه ونعمائه. والصلاة والسلام على أشرف وأكرم وأنبل أنبيائه سيدنا ومولانا محمد الطيب التقي النقي الصادق الأمين الرسول المبين المبعوث رحمة للعالمين، وعلى آله التقيين الطيبين الطاهرين، وأصحابه الصالحين الغر الميامين، والتابعين لهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. اللهم اجعلنا منهم، آمين. May this be, inshallah ta'ala, first a reminder to me, to myself, and then a reminder to you. اللهم اجعلنا من الذين يستمعون القول فيتبعون أحسنه. Ya Allah, please help us be of those who hear and listen to the words of admonition and follow the best of the meanings carried in those words. اللهم افتح مسامع قلوبنا لذكرك. Ya Allah, please open the hearing channels of our hearts to your dhikr, to that which reminds us of you. Ameen. Surely, every practicing Muslim, every caring Muslim does know and must know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us in this world in order to fulfill عبودية to Him عز وجل. وما خلقت الجن والإنس إلا ليعبدون ما أريد منهم من رزق وما أريد أن يطعمون إن الله هو الرزاق ذو القوة المتين. To fulfill عبودية to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the requirement of fulfilling عبودية to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is very strongly and absolutely and essentially integrated with the Tawheed of Allah Azza wa Jal, with the active affirmation of the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That He subhanahu wa ta'ala in His attributes, that He subhanahu wa ta'ala in His rububiyyah, in His lordship is unique and one subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the only one for us to identify as such as a Rabb. And consequently, from that Tawheed of al-Rububiyyah comes naturally our ubudiyyah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If we do not subhanahu wa ta'ala confirm and affirm His oneness at the level of His lordship, we will not confirm His oneness at the level of His godship subhanahu wa ta'ala. In ashrakna bihi fi rububiyyatihi sanushriku bihi fi uluhiyyatihi subhanahu wa ta'ala. هكذا عليه أهل الفضل من العلماء المجتهدين من سلف هذه الأمة رحمهم الله تعالى ورضي الله تعالى عنهم وأفادنا بعلومهم وبركاتهم. Tawheed of Allah Azza wa Jal. And that Tawheed not only has to be intellectual, has to be mental, that I hold it in my knowledge, in my intellect, but that it seeps into my heart, that it becomes experiential, that I develop an experiential attitude, a taste, a spiritual taste of that Tawheed of Allah Azza wa Jal in my heart, in my soul, not only intellectually, academically, philosophically, dialectically, but emotionally, experientially. When I know that Allah Azza wa Jal is Rahim, for example, or is Al-Khaliq, or is Al-Musawwir, subhanahu wa ta'ala, or is Al-Hakam, or is Al-Adl, or is Al-Raqib, subhanahu wa ta'ala. I must not only know that intellectually, I must practice and learn to have a taste of it experientially, وجدانا, قلبا, ذوقا. Like, for example, to know about hub, love, to know about hub, love, to know. Some people can write about hub, love, can write books, stories, but have they ever experienced hub, love? They have known it, read about it, wrote about it, they have written about it, but have they experienced it? So we want our Tawheed, we seek that our Tawheed of Allah Azza wa Jalla be experiential. When and if we strive for it to be experiential, that Tawheed in addition to intellectual, then something happens inside of us experientially that changes our inner spiritual chemistry, our inner makeup. I mean by that, it changes what we are inside, what you and me are inside. We change, we reform. We become, in accordance to that experiential Tawheed, we become internally beautiful. Every beautiful trait and character and an attribute inside of us that is beautiful is the result of the Tawheed that is in our qulub, if it is in our qulub. I mean by that to say that when there is that Tawheed, my inner image, my akhlaq become beautiful. Because when I have inside of me as Tawheed, one, confirming actively that oneness, I strive dynamically, actively to live not only in my intellect, in my qalb, nothing but Allah. And if Allah is in my qalb. Allah has manifested himself to us and expressed himself to us in the book of Allah and Sunnah of Sayyidina Mawlana Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam through his names and attributes. الخالق البارئ المصور الغفار القهار الوهاب الرزاق العليم القدير المنتقم وهكذا الصبور الغفور الشكور. Those attributes now are embedded in my soul and in my heart through that experiential tawheed. My heart, in other words, as I have that tawheed, I leave only him, my heart liberates and removes everything else of me to become of Allah Azza wa Jal's attributes. So I remove for example, my impatience. And through that tawheed, I am patient because Allah is, say it, sabur. Tawheed, if only Allah is in my qalb, that attribute is in my qalb. I become sabur. Allah is halim, forbearing. Tawheed, only He in my qalb becomes halim. Allah is hakim. Of course, at His divine, infinite level, I become hakim at my human, best potential level. وهكذا. Allah is afu, Allah is kareem, Allah is adl. I become afu, adl, kareem. My khuluq, my character changes. That means that this deen, through tawheed, intends to reform us human beings in the internal composition of ourselves. It intends to reform our hearts, ourselves, and therefore our akhlaq, and therefore our internal reality and character. I am not that Muslim if I am not Kareem yet. I am not that Muslim mu'min if I'm not Halim. I'm not that Muslim if I'm not Sabur. I'm not that Muslim if I'm not Ghafoor. I'm not that Muslim if I'm not Afu. I'm not that Muslim if I'm not Hakim, Halim, Hayy, and so on. Adl, Muhsin, وهكذا. This is the beginning and the end of the story of Islam. The rest is for you and me to strive to be like that in every aspect of my life. At home, at work, the work itself, everything I do, everything I embark in is to be consistent with this tawheed and this akhlaq. Whether I am an imam or an engineer or a doctor or an administrator, manager, a director, a CEO, politician, all of it, as I express myself through those activities, I express who I am, what I am. And what I am and who I am is meant to be كما يرضي الله عز وجل, is meant to be within the framework of عبودية لله عز وجل. Whether I am in sujood, in salah, or whether I'm designing a robot. In both, I have to be a muwahhid with a khuluq as I express myself in salah or in design in a way consistent with what Allah has sanctioned and permitted and He loves, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Our actions, our tasarrufat, our words, our external activities are but expressions of what we are inside. The tongue is but the translator of what I am inside. القلوب كالقدور تغلي بما فيها وألسنتها معالقها كما قال أهل الفضل من أهل العلم. Hearts are like boiling pots. When they boil by that which is inside of them. And if you want a taste of what's inside of them, you pick a spoon and you scoop and you taste. The spoons to scoop from those pots, those hearts, are the tongues, he said. And our other senses, the way we use our hands, the way we use our external senses. This is an introduction, as a reminder, an essential reminder to myself and to all my dear brothers and sisters to hopefully be aware of this and must orient our lives in accordance to this reality. Akhlaq are what distinguish us from animals, from beasts. Our akhlaq, our adab. You can't ask from a beast to be patient. You can't ask from a beast to be halim. You cannot ask from a beast to be wise. You cannot ask from a beast to be hayy, to have haya. You cannot ask from a beast to have amana. Akhlaq distinguishes us from beasts, from animals, at different levels of that animal nature. Some aspect of akhlaq that I want to share with you because these akhlaq are so fundamental. Some of these akhlaq are so fundamental to the conduct of our lives. As Rasulullah mentioned, I'm going to share that with you in these few minutes we have together. May Allah Azza wa Jal open your channels of hearing inside your hearts and mind as well, inshallah ta'ala. صح عنه صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم فيما رواه الأئمة مثل الطبراني في معجمه مثل البزار مثل غيرهم رحمهم الله تعالى أنه قال 3 مهلكات و3 منجيات. And in another text و3 كفارات و3 درجات. In one text it's only 3 مهلكات. In another text 3 مهلكات و3 منجيات. And in another text و3 درجات و3 كفارات. I will focus on the first 2. There are, he said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, 3 مهلكات. 3 are destructive. 3 says 3. He didn't say what he's going to say. 3. He didn't say what genre of 3. But the text will say. You will notice what they are. 3 are destructive. They cause us to perish. Human beings, Muslims, non-Muslims, human beings. If we have those 3, that is the recipe for our destruction. Number 1, he said. The text put them in sometimes in different orders. I'm going to put them in this order in one of the texts. العدل في الغضب والرضا. Number 1, to be fair, to be just, to be equitable, whether you are angry or whether you are pleased. To be just and fair and equitable, whether things are against you, hurt you, or they are for you and they benefit you. Whether you are angry or calm and pleased and satisfied. I'm sorry, this is the opposite. I'm beginning with the munjiyat. Shall I continue maybe in the munjiyat? Let's continue in the munjiyat and then we go back to the muhlikat. 3 that they're not caused to perish, they cause salvation. Munjiyat. 3 lead to salvation, to, alhamdulillah, to success, not to destruction, not to perish. 3 منجيات العدل في الغضب والرضا. Whether it is at home, problems at home, and we get angry, yet to be just and fair, despite the fact that I don't like it, I'm bitter, it hurts, I'm right, especially if I think I'm right, and I'm angry. Or pleased, to be just. Family life, in the masjid, in agreement and in disagreement, in discussions, in debates, what is better, what is best, what is right, what is wrong, what is the maslahah, what is the benefit that the Shara permits for us to seek, this or that, this course or that course or that course. I must be equitable and just, even if it were against my own choices, my own self, my own personal drives. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, says Allah Azza wa Jal, kunu qawwamina bil qist, shuhada'a lillahi walau ala anfusikum, aw al walidaini wal aqrabin. Be fair and just, even if it were against your own selves, or against your own parents, or against those who are closest in kin to you. Whether you are pleased or displeased, whether it's my son, my daughter, my spouse, versus the other, the stranger, I must be adil. This saves me. This saves me in dunya and in akhirah with Allah Azza wa Jal. Secondly, والقصد في الفقر والغنى. والقصد في الفقر والغنى. And to be moderate in spending, whether we are poor or rich. Subhanallah. Whether we are poor or rich, not to be spendthrift, nor to be greedy and miser, to be balanced. Al-qasd, moderation in spending, that is, whether we are rich or destitute or poor. It's not because I am rich, I indulge and I overspend for myself, for my family, for my children, the things that are personal. And you know how some of us, when we are well-to-do, how we abuse the ni'mah of Allah Azza wa Jal of wealth, how we indulge our children excessively, and they want to indulge excessively, and we indulge them as they desire, without iqtisad, without moderation. The big cars, the special phones, this and that, clothes and this and this and that. Excessively. If you want to spend excessively, spend for yourself frugally, moderately. The rest, you give it to the needy and the poor. Instead of excessively indulging in matters that are not needed and necessary for me or for my children. القصد في الغنى والفقر وفي الفقر والغنى. To be moderate in spending, balanced in spending, whether I am very rich or I am poor. And needy. إن المبذرين كانوا إخوان الشياطين وكان الشيطان لربه كفورا, says Allah Azza wa Jal. Those who are spendthrift are the brethren of the devils. And the devil is an avowed enemy to Allah Azza wa Jal. SubhanAllah, what saves us in dunya and in akhirah is to be moderate and balanced. What is leading humanity to abuse the environment? The ozone layer, the forests, the waters. What? Spending freely and indulging ourselves in the materialistic drives. What is leading to all of that depletion? Excessive spending and excessive use of resources of the nature that Allah created, subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we do that at our own level in our own homes. We abuse what we have. That is not good. To be moderate, balanced, saves me in dunya and in akhirah. Saves the world in so many ways, as you know, economically and socially, and the distribution of wealth in the world, and health-wise, etc. It's either destructive if we use it excessively, or constructive if we use it moderately and in a balanced way, and charitably. Thirdly, he says, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, وَخَشْيَةُ اللَّهِ فِي السِّرِّ وَالْعَلَانِيَةِ. What saves? To have reverent awe, khashya, of Allah Azza wa Jal, whether in privacy or in public. To fear Allah, nay, to have reverent awe, that awe with reverence for Allah Azza wa Jal inside of me, for Allah Azza wa Jal, whether I'm alone in my private quarters, in my private space, wherever it is, in a room or in a forest or in a desert, to be conscious of Allah Azza wa Jal. أراقب نظر الله سبحانه وتعالى إياي. I observe the fact that Allah watches me. I'm aware of that, regardless of where I am. Alone with power to do whatever to do, what to do. Khashyatullah fi sirri wal alaniya, and in public. To use my emotions, to use my words, to use my resources, to use my senses in a way in which I'm aware of Allah Azza wa Jal and His power over me, and His majestic grip, over me. Khashiyatullahi fi sirri wal alaniya. These save. And you know there are qualities of the heart. Al-adl, to be fair and balanced and equitable and moderate, is a condition of the mind and of the heart and of the soul. It's a khuluq, it's a character. Born out of tawheed of Allah Azza wa Jal, when it is not only intellectual, when it is emotional and experiential. Thalathun, we come back to muhlikat. Allah willed that my tongue runs with the munjiyat. So glad tidings, first munjiyat. I did not scare us with first muhlikat. Inshallah, this masjid is naji, bi'idhnillah. Somehow I was made to begin with munjiyat. something here will be insha'Allah ta'ala, this is a fa'al, will be najat. بإذن الله. 3 مهلكات. And 3 cause to perish. Number 1. شح مطاع. شح مطاع. Again, character, خلق, what we are inside, that lead us to be what we are outside. Obeyed greed. شح مطاع. He didn't say sallallahu alayhi wa sallam shuh. He says shuh mutah. Because greed, we all are subject to it. We all are, in other words, stricken sometimes by negative energies of greed. The problem is not that we are stricken sometimes by greed. The problem is what? To obey the greed drives inside of us. لذلك قال صلى الله عليه وسلم شح مطاع. قال الله سبحانه وتعالى ومن يوق شح نفسه فأولئك هم المفلحون. Not just shuh. Allah says if you are protected against the shuh of your nafs, you will be successful. The point is that shuh, when I have it inside, that drive inside of me of keeping, of holding, of hoarding, there's greedy tendencies inside of me. I don't obey them. أجاهد نفسي. أجاهد نفسي. And I do not externalize and actualize the greed inside of me. I restrain it. I do not allow it to express itself in my comportment, in my behavior. I do not allow it. If I allow it, that is recipe for destruction. And we said earlier, what else has always led humanity, not only as individuals, as nations and civilizations, to perish except greed? Greed. But greed amongst nations starts where? Greed amongst individuals. It's membership. That's how it begins. And then it is not remedied, and it is allowed, and it is obeyed, and it is sometimes even celebrated. وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. شح مطاع. Second, هوى متبع. هوى متبع. الهوى. The whims inside of us, the inclinations inside of us that are, hawa is more the inclinations that are intellectual, ideological, philosophical. Hawa, mental. That's why usually hawa comes very dangerously to those of us who have knowledge, to those of us who are educated, to those of us who have some ilm. Because hawa strikes at what ilm intends to do to provide balance inside of us. Instead of following haqq and ilm, I follow through my structure, my own structure of my mind, the structure of my own mind, the result of my own analysis, of my own synthesis, of my own rationalizations, regardless of what the divine rationale says. And many of us, we have our own ways to rationalize our own choices despite the divine rationale against it, isn't it? To justify what we choose, to justify what we want, to justify what we do. And that's hawa. وَمَنْ أَضَلُّ مِمَّنِ اتَّبَعَ هَوَاهُ بِغَيْرِ هُدًى min Allah. Allah says, who is worse in loss than the person who follows his own drives without huda from Allah? Which means that hawa and huda are opposites. Every time I use my mind, and I must use my mind and my intellect, but if the result is antithetical to what Allah rationalizes and says, or His Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as expounded upon by the expert ulama of this ummah, then I am following my hawa. Who is the first person in creation in the history of humanity who followed his hawa? Shaitan. Isn't it? You know the story. Allah commands Shaitan. It's a direct command, a direct order from Allah, hukm from Allah. Usjud li Adam. He reasons his own way. I lay myself to a creature, to a human being, plus I'm fire and he's clay. Doesn't make sense to me. See, that's what happened. But God, who created you and knows that which you know and which you don't know, said you lay prostrate to that creature made of clay. And He knows you're made of fire. And He knows sujood is only to Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. He said, do that. But he followed instead his hawa, his own personal analysis and synthesis in the presence of the divine text. Each one of us should ponder, my beloved brothers and sisters, how sometimes we do that. That hawa is a vehicle and a means to perdition, to destruction. But not hawa, again, by Allah's grace and rahmah, like not shuh. What did we say? Not shuh that destroys what? When I obey the shuh instead of resisting it. كذلك الهوى. Allah could have said, if you have hawa inside, khalas, you pay. But His rahmah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His wisdom, وَهَوًى مُتَّبَعًا. When we follow our hawa, versus if I have those drives and bursts of hawa, and I say, no, you're not going to be my imam, Mr. Hawa or Mrs. Hawa, inside of me. You're not going to be my imam, because it was taba. To follow, we follow a leader. You're not going to be my imam, my leader. And there are those of us who are led inside by our hawa. We execute the commands of our hawa. When we execute the command of our hawa, that's what is destructive. But when we resist the commands of our hawa, it's an act of ibadah that is highly rewardable. Like sometimes we have shahwa, my dear brothers and sisters. We have a shahwani drive for food and for this and for that and for this and that shahwa, you know what I mean. Human beings have that, even some saints have that. But to obey the shahwa is one thing, to resist the shahwa is another. To resist it is saintly. To fall in it is devilish. Hawan muttaba. Thirdly, the destructive attribute, it's all akhlaq, isn't it? It's all what we are inside. وَإِعْجَابُ الْمَرْءِ بِنَفْسِهِ وفي رواية أخرى وإعجاب المرء برأيه. Ostentation, self-admiration. That when an individual is so elated and so conceited by his own nafs, and in the other variants, by his own opinion. إعجاب المرء برأيه, إعجاب المرء بنفسه. And those of us who have that destructive characteristics, al-ujb, conceitedness of our nafs, we admire our nafs. I am inside of me. I have nothing to change. When we admire ourselves, khalas, we have nothing to change. And that's a recipe for destruction. And when we are self-admiring of our own selves, we disregard the values of others. We disregard the worth that others have to contribute to the quality even of our own lives. We disregard the warnings. We disregard the warning signs when we have that ujb of the nafs, إعجاب المرء بنفسه, or برأيه, with one's opinion, with one's views. And then a person like that will end up becoming totalitarian, authoritarian in the extreme sense. Whether in family life, in personal life, in work life, or in politics, or in life in general. إعجاب المرء بنفسه. For us, in simple ways, لما أنا معجب بنفسي, I'm not going to seek to be a better patient person, a better forbearing person, a kinder person, a juster person, a more benevolent person, a more forgiving person, a wiser person, a more knowledgeable person. أنا معجب بنفسي. خلاص. I want everybody to be like me. I have nothing to search for. وخلق الإنسان ضعيفا. Yet the human being was created by Allah weak. I shall always need to change and improve. Always. Allah's nearness, the path to Allah's nearness is infinite. Why? Because Allah is infinite in His beauty and the scope of His majesty and beauty. No matter how much and how long I strive, it will never be the end in my quest for divine nearness and a nearness to the divine perfection. إعجاب المرء بنفسه is self-destructive, and of society, and of families, and of life. As you notice, my dear brothers and sisters, حفظكم Allah, that in these texts, Rasulullah speaks to us of akhlaq. Akhlaq, what we are inside, that either leads to perdition or to salvation, to destruction or to success, to misery in this dunya and in akhirah, or to felicity and happiness in the noble sense in this dunya and in akhirah. And yet, wouldn't you agree that we disregard these values? We try to work on so many things, and in our lives, even in our religious matters, we do not pay attention to this. We live our lives disengaged from this reality. We live our lives not so conscious to connect with this reality in everything I do. I cannot be a full Muslim without these. I cannot be that Muslim that we seek to be examples to others, to be salvific for others without these values. Don't forget them, doctor, engineer, administrator, manager, director, housewife, nurse, designer. Yes, even when you go and play in the court, basketball, don't forget these values. And that's what a Muslim life ought to be. Tawheed and akhlaq. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant me and you the awareness of these values and this reality always, number one. Number two, may He give me and you the strength and the energy to internalize that and to execute that and to incrementally, patiently strive to reach a state of steady state in my beautiful akhlaq and in my experiential tawheed. اللهم إنا ضعفاء فقو في رضاك ضعفنا وخذ إلى الخير بنواصينا. Ya Allah, we are weak. Please change our weakness into strength in what pleases you. And take us from our forelocks to what is good and virtue, despite the fact that sometimes our nufus don't want to be virtuous. Please, Ya Allah, especially in those moments, don't leave us to us. Take us despite us to you, to your beautiful ways, to the beautiful ways of your Nabi, and let the end of our lives be, inshaAllah ta'ala, in Jannah, by your grace. Ameen wa sallallahu wa sallim wa barik ala Sayyidina Mawlana Muhammadin al-Fatih lima ughliq wal-Khatim lima sabaq mu'lin al-haqq bil-haqq nasir al-haqq bil-haqq wal-hadi ila sirat Allah al-mustaqim wa ala alihi haqqa qadrihi wa miqdarihi al-azim ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. With your permission, if nobody has any question quickly, I have to, inshallah, seek permission. Is that? Anybody has any question? Allah, may Allah fill your hearts with hikmah. Inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
Stretch your lines, your heels on the line, stand shoulder to shoulder. أقيموا صفوفكم واعتدلوا. الله